mentality
It's annoying. It is sheep
It
mentality.
exists on this app, and some people just need a shepherd, and they will start following. And this has happened to all myself, Mo, and you on this platform specifically, because people really just follow whatever someone else tells them the point is. Like at the start of the season, let's not make this as a joke because I'm being dead serious. Like at the start of the season, when someone says, "Oh, Hussam, you're twerking for Arsenal." Okay, Arsenal finished second last season. They finished 1 point behind Man City. It's 100% a fair opinion to say that Arsenal are gonna win the Premier League. That's not twerking. That's just reality. I didn't say Crystal Palace was gonna win it, did I? And then you put out a video like, "Oh, Arsenal are better than Liverpool because they ended the game with Luis Skelly and Kivior, and I thought we should have taken advantage, and I was pissed off at my own club." And all it takes is one person to just write, "Stop twerking for Arsenal," and everyone just follows suit. And that's the issue with this conversation. It's just people don't really have a form their own opinion. When I look at this Rashford thing, look, I'm not a Man United fan. I hate Man United. I hope we get liquidated and relegated and cease to exist. But the truth of the matter is, I'll be a hypocrite if I say all of this is Rashford's fault or Pogba's fault or anyone's fault.
Agree.
It's a combination. We can't just black and white every conversation. Gray area exists in football, whether people like it or not. And the truth of the matter is with Rashford, the reason why I say after this, it will show us about Rashford. It will not show us about Man United. Because sometimes when you change your environment and you go to a new environment, whether you were crap at your old environment or not, it does not prove that the environment is wrong. It proves that maybe you just couldn't exist in that environment. So that's why I gave the example. Okay, Rashford moves on from Man United and succeeds. All of a sudden you go like, okay, Rashford is actually not a shit player. He just needed the right environment to succeed. If he goes on to an environment where he doesn't succeed and he fails at said football club, even though the environment was there for him to succeed, then you sit back and go like, okay, maybe Rashford is not as good as we thought. And that's it. But right now, I cannot go like, it's all Marcus Rashford's fault.
No, you are right. It's not all Rashford's fault. He's got some responsibility. It's never been a singular manager's fault, but there's some responsibility. The interesting thing in the last 24 to 48 hours regarding this Rashford scenario is that the one group of people who are largely to blame for his lack of progression and the bad culture that has led to this situation are the Glazers. And again, every media outlet and most Man United fans, they have consistently done this until it's fashionable to ignore the actual root cause problem every time. Now, I know they're not running the football operation anymore, but there's a reason why most of our players and signings have flopped. Most of our academy players have never fulfilled their potential. Why we haven't been consistent. It doesn't matter what. Listen, for the 4 years after Fergie that Rashford didn't play, we were inconsistent. And, you know, certain managers came in. Oh, that manager's ruined us. But we weren't great before him. And, you know, before Jose and after Jose, were we really that much better? And what people can do is they can nitpick a period of time. Oh, we got this trophy here, though. Yeah, but this run of form was better. But in reality, we weren't that much better. And we never, as Man United fans, as a collective, for long enough periods, focus on the root cause problem. And listen, Ineos are getting a lot of stick at the minute for things they're doing wrong. Or things they're doing that are morally wrong in people's eyes. And I think to myself, I agree with some of them and I disagree with others. But if you were old enough to remember, or if you just go back and do your research and look at your own football club, and look at things they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, I guarantee, whether it be an owner's political stance, whether it be charities they gave to, whether it's certain sponsors that they had as an example. And sponsors are an interesting one, because I had someone say to me the other day, Terry, I don't watch the Terrace anymore. So, oh, how come? Because you do work with gambling companies. So, okay. And he went, and I just have a real problem with gambling. He doesn't come on the show anymore, and he doesn't really watch anymore. And he was very, very, very nice about it. I said, so you guys, I don't like gambling. It's not for religious reasons. He said, I just don't like it. I think it ruins people's lives. I said, you know what? And I respect your opinion, but I believe in personal sort of sovereignty. And I know some people's lives get hurt by it, which is why I say do it responsibly. But this guy, when he streams, drinks and smokes. And I'm like, people's lives get ruined with drinking. People's lives get ruined because of smoking as well, right? Those injuries are quite insidious as well if you look into them. And I'm like, this is why the sort of the grandstanding and the moral posturing from so many people now in society I find interesting, because on one hand, people will be like, say no to gambling, it ruins lives. What are you doing right now? I was going to have a cigarette on camera. I'm like, well, some could argue that's encouraging people to do that if you want to be pedantic. And I believe a little bit in kind of let people. You're never going to be happy with everything that any particular person does. I just feel like we've got into this mode in the world where we want to, as soon as we see one thing we don't like, we want to try and ruin everything about that person, that company, that club. Do you get where I'm coming from? And I just sometimes feel, I look at some of these fans, you might be 30, I'm like, go back and look at the history of Man United. I bet you'll find loads of things you're uncomfortable with from the past, but you still decided to support them. Why are you making such a big deal about it now? And if they don't change, what are you actually going to do? Because if you're not going to do any, maybe I'm wrong for this, but I feel like if you're not going to step away. So for instance, I didn't like the Super League as an idea initially, but then I thought about it and went, will I cover the games? Will I do match reactions? Probably. Therefore, I'm a hypocrite if I sit here and just say everyone involved is a disgrace, because I'm going to end up being involved in one way. And I just realized I'm going to end up being a hypocrite. It like all the idiots during the Qatar World Cup. 2 years building up to it, 3 years building up to it. Disgrace, 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 disgrace. £1 million to go out there and work. Boom. But the same people that will call out that hypocrisy will then, and we all can be hypocrites at times. That's my point here. None of us are sort of exempt from that. And I just feel that when it comes to back to Man United here, United fans have got to fucking relax a little bit. Of course, you're not every decision that the club makes or does, you are going to like. But if you're not going to turn your back on a football club, at least this time round, with new people making decisions, give it a bit of time before throwing your toys out the pram. Because this time last week, it was the end of the world and it was a disaster. You fast forward a week, it was great. Now Rashford's leaving.
That is had enough for the Man United fans. You could tell.
I just think to myself, I don't understand it. Maybe it's how I am as a person. And listen, I am not sitting here. I want to make sure I say this because someone will clip it up or leave a comment and won't get to 25 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm not perfect. Of course, there is going to be times, I don't mean to, where someone will go, I think he's been a hypocrite there. He said this before and now he's doing that. Or this contradicts something you said last week, 10 months ago, 5 years ago, whenever it may be. Then challenge me on it. I'm open to it. As long as you're challenging me in a respectful way and you're not trying to set me up or make me look a certain way, or be nasty about it, I'm always up for the conversation. But I'm not perfect, and I never profess to be. But what I'm getting more and more annoyed about, as I say, when it comes to Man United, our rebuild, our situation, is the weird moral posturing from people. And I look at it and think, but you're not going to do anything, are you? You're not going to actually take any action. So the fuck you moaning about? I saw a content creator the other day kicking off about it, and I was like, if Man United offered you a job tomorrow to present for their TV show, you'd jump on it like a bitch in heat, right? You'd be on it, bang. So what are you sitting there kicking off for? Do you know where I'm coming from? It's like, I don't know. I just get annoyed about stuff like that. It just frustrates me. It's like you're just doing it. I think you're just doing it to look good to your friends and your family and your followers. But do you actually mean it? Do you actually care that much? I don't necessarily believe so, but maybe that's just me. Staying on Rashford very quickly. Yeah, misery does love company. Rashford to Arsenal, would that be a good move, Mo?
No, what is wrong? I'm gonna say this again. I said it in my video earlier. Arsenal should not be treated as a guinea pig club. Not. Arsenal are not an experiment. Sterling, Havertz, let's revive Martinelli's career. Let's give it a shot. Let's give Thomas Partey and try again. Marcus Rashford, I'm not saying he's gonna fail or not fail, right? But the more likely outcome, it's not going to work. Look at Sterling. All the Arsenal fans, Raheem the Dream. He's going to be the backup. Where is Raheem Sterling? He's a ghost. He doesn't even exist. The guy doesn't even exist for Arsenal. And also, I'm just going to say this. If Chelsea sign Marcus Rashford, that's fine. Why? Chelsea are in the phase of experiment. They're trying. Jadon Sancho, maybe it will work. Pedro Neto, maybe he won't get injured. Joao Felix, because of the Gallagher situation. Arsenal aren't. Arsenal are not in a place to experiment with Marcus Rashford.
Responses in the chat, they're telling you he's better than Martinelli.
It doesn't matter.